Well, hey everybody, it's Sandy, and welcome back to my channel dedicated to helping you advocate for your own health, one topic at a time. Actually, dedicated to coping with the coronavirus pandemic. So today, I just wanted to talk about things coming into your home while you're trying to stay at home and stay super clean and not, invite any COVID-19 into your home. I've touched on this in other videos, but I haven't dedicated a video to it until now, and here's why. I have seen so many instructional videos pertaining to bringing things in the home, particularly groceries, and how to make sure that things are clean. And honestly, they seem just ridiculous to me. Okay, and I'd be really interested in hearing what like the nurse practitioners out there think on this, just because you have a sense of all nurses in general. Nurses, have been taught like clean versus unclean versus sterile, and technique and whatnot. And I'd be interested in anybody's feedback anyway. But well, let me start by describing what it is that I take an issue with. For one thing, I don't think anybody's really done any kind of a study on, how bringing things in and transferring things over. It would just be really hard to study and find out what the data is on that. We don't know whether you can contract COVID-19 this way, but we do know that it can live on certain surfaces for periods of time. So like hard surfaces like stainless steel or granite, probably like 3 to 4 days. And things like cardboard, they think 24 hours, but there's a range there. So it only makes sense that it can also live on things that you would bring in, inanimate objects from the grocery store. And what I'm seeing are things like, okay, on Dr. Oz's channel, and I like Dr. Oz, don't get me wrong, but I'm thinking I'm going to write to him about this one. He had an expert that he met by video conference on his channel, and she was showing how to deal with groceries. She had them all unpacked from the store, all over her counter. Okay, so those are all presumably dirty because they've just come from the store. And then she got out a bleach wipe and started wiping like boxes and wiping things and then putting them back down in the same place. First of all, bleach wipes. Bleach wipes don't really kill the coronavirus on most surfaces unless there is sufficient moisture for the surface to remain wet for 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, so if you use a bleach wipe and use it on like a door handle of your fridge and then maybe a couple of doorknobs, that stuff probably still pretty moist, and you can wipe those things down so that they stay wet. But when you're using a bleach wipe for like a cardboard box and then like 6 other things, like those are really pretty dry at that point. And there's just no telling whether that's doing any good at all. And certainly picking something up and then putting it back down in the same place where it just was, if it was dirty, doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. So, and then as a practical matter, I think bleach wipes are kind of hard to come by these days. So I actually, I reserve mine for things like handles and doorknobs and, sink faucet and handles and things like that for when I do use them. So I didn't really like that. And then I saw another YouTube video where somebody who was presumably a physician, I don't know what kind of work he did, I don't even know if I looked, but he had some kind of an instructional video that's going around now where there's a line of tape on his countertop, and like one side is the dirty side and one side is the clean side. Yeah, so guess which side of my countertop is dirty? No, none of it. Okay, my countertop isn't dirty. And I don't ever bring anything in from the store and put it right on my countertop. That just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm just going to go over in a little more detail what I do and why I think it's important to have a system that at least makes some sense if we don't really know for sure what works here and what's best. And it's based on a couple of different principles. One, like I said, the coronavirus, we know COVID-19, it can live on certain surfaces. Okay, it lives better on smooth surfaces. It lives a little longer that way than on something absorbent. Number 2, temperature. You don't really hear much about temperatures. So when they talk about how long the virus can live, they're talking about room temperature, room humidity, things like that. Heat seems a little less friendly to the virus. But what they don't talk about is cool, refrigeration, and freezing. Viruses in general live much, much longer in the refrigerator and in the freezer. Okay, and then once they come out and get to room temperature, then they can become active. So that part really concerns me. So again, I have this 2 or 3 part program. This is just what I do, and it just kind of eliminates all this guessing. Okay. I think that anybody can find some little corner in their house, some spot that they're not using. Most of us can. And if even if you don't have something like that, get a card table, get a folding table, just designate a spot. And anything that is non-perishable that comes in the house, no, forget this pulling out cardboard boxes and wiping them down and putting them back down somewhere. No. Anything that is non-perishable goes in that area, in that corner, and then I don't touch it for like a week. Okay, it just sits there. It sits there 3-4 days, whatever it is. And by the way, cardboard is on the outside of the box, okay, but that doesn't address what's on the inside of a box, okay? So here I'm just talking about groceries. If you have like a cereal carton or crackers or something, those things are non-perishable and they can really sit out for a very long time, right? There's no need to have to deal with them right away and get everything else in the work surface dirty. So those come in the house and they go right onto like the corner of my dining room table. And then I just go wash my hands and I come back with a magic marker and I write the date on one item in that bunch. And it sits there for several days. And then I know that there's no virus that could have survived there. So I don't have to deal with cleaning up my kitchen counter after something like that. And for anything cold, I have been limiting my shopping to things that can be thoroughly washed with soap and water, like packages. Okay, so like the steam in the bag, I don't steam in the bag, but that kind of vegetables, frozen vegetables. I don't do the vegetables that are frozen in the box. They have to be in the bag. Some produce like baby carrots that come in that bag, that's a Ziploc. So something that I can just throw down in the sink, not on my clean counter, okay? Throw it in the sink, have the water running before I put it in there, wash my hands, and then with my clean hands, soap up again and soap up each individual bag, okay? So each freezer bag full of vegetables, each bag full of baby carrots. And personally, I haven't been using things like leafy greens that are fresh right now, okay? I just don't trust that I can get those really clean. And it's fine if you're going to cook things right away, but stuff like leafy greens that you eat raw, I don't even want to put that in my fridge, not knowing on the off chance that something that I don't want to live does live and then infect somebody. It's just not worth it to me. I know I'll probably start a little controversy with that, and I welcome it. I welcome your thoughts. But for me, I've just given up the kinds of produce that I can't really get deep down clean. And I've limited myself to stuff that I can get frozen and really wash. Same thing with containers like yogurt containers or cheese packs like that, stuff that comes inside of a package. The exception is eggs. I do buy eggs because I just think they're a really good thing to have on hand. They have a long shelf life and they're calorie dense. And so I do buy eggs, but again, they go down the carton I already have the water on to wash my hands, and the carton goes down in the bottom of the sink. I wash my hands and I have a clean, like a Tupperware dish, and I just transfer the eggs onto there. And then the packaging, which is what somebody might have touched at the store, that gets thrown away. So I'd really like to hear what you guys are doing. Maybe there's some better ideas, but I just have to say, and I know this is a little bit bold, but some of the expert advice that I'm hearing out there on bringing things into the house just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I think it is rare. It's unlikely to contract the disease this way. Of course, the primary route is by respiratory droplets that you might inhale, but the whole point of cleaning things that are coming into the house is because you're operating on the premise that it is still possible that contact with that surface and then contact with your own face could be a mode of transmission. So if items from the grocery store are a conduit to this disease, then I think we ought to at least be doing this in a way that makes sense. So mail is another issue that I think I talked about before, and that's different, of course, because you're probably not dealing with perishable food. I hope not in the mail. So again, the cardboard box that 24 hours. You have to think about what's inside the box. So I get the box and I put it aside. I just put things aside in my dining room and don't touch them if I don't need to. And then if I do have to, of course, I get rid of packaging as easily as I can, as quickly as I can, and I wash very well with proper hand washing in under the nails and in between the fingers, front and backs of the hands. So that's my soapbox about things coming into the house. And I'd really like to hear from you guys about what you're doing. I'd also like to hear about what everybody's doing with the solitude and, just not being out and around. It's going to feel so energizing and amazing when, we can actually go out somewhere. I don't think that's going to be for a while, but it's amazing how you take for granted all the freedom and everything that we have in our society. And it's really quite a teaching tool to be kind of isolated and confined. And even at that, not too confined, right? Most of us live in a place that most people would be happy to be confined to. So I'm very grateful for my circumstances. I'm very grateful to all the people who are out there on the front lines. I know I'm a nurse anesthetist. I've been one for 30 years, and my job and my work and my business that I've been in for over 20 years now is all focused on ambulatory settings and elective work, and there's pretty much a moratorium on that stuff right now. But I think all of us, hopefully you can find some part to play. But I really just have to extend my sincerest, my gratitude and my respect and my appreciation for the people who are right in there in the hospitals. I know today is Doctor's Day, so happy Doctor's Day. I have a good friend who's actually a pulmonologist, so he's right on the front line, and I want to wish him well. He knows who he is, and a good person, I'm sure, saving many lives and putting himself at risk. And so please be careful. Everybody out there, please be careful and please be safe and be well. And I'll look forward to hearing from you. And until next time, bye-bye.